Well, well, well. Look who came to watch me suffer. I watched Sarajevo Safari, and when I tell you that this documentary made me physically ill while tears were rolling down my face, I'm not even exaggerating. Anyways, that's what you wanna see, so yeah! Enjoy. Starting with the beautiful view of Sarajevo in Bosnia and Herzegovina, the documentary then punches us in the face with a hard cut to footage from the siege of Sarajevo from 1992 to 1996. The documentary alleges that during this time a form of war tourism emerged, one where foreigners would pay to shoot civilians. And somehow that's not even the most fucked up part. Sarajevo Safari uses 4 witness testimonies to piece together the narrative. First is this dude. He's an anonymous former intelligence agent who provides us with most of the information about the background politics, as well as the disgusting option to pay to shoot civilians. And to be clear, he wasn't involved in arranging that. Our mystery agent was contacted by a person working for, and I quote, an important American agency. According to him, the agency was interested in the atmosphere in Bosnia, how the people were living, was the situation, and so on. He describes it as protecting both internal and external borders. The doc then gives us another punch in the face. This time the hard cut shows footage of a group of men cleaning up corpses off a bridge, and my jaw dropped. I expected something like this might be shown somewhere in the doc, but this just came out of nowhere. And honestly, this part sparked a lot of different feelings inside of me. Obviously, part sadness, part disgust, part disturbance, but also in some very weird way, slight, dark, absurd comedy, and I think that's the only one that needs an explanation. There's just something about the man shouting while loading a body in the trunk, doing it so casually as if it was just another Tuesday. And while it is completely real, the level of desensitization is so high that it seems as if it was ripped out from a sketch, an extremely dark, absurd sketch. It just felt so surreal and real and raw at the same time. The footage continues to show the locals taking the bodies to what I can only assume is a morgue or something like that. And the disturbing part is, again, not even seeing the dead bodies. It's just how casual and normal it is for the locals to handle them. The agent even says that during the siege, it was common knowledge to run through certain streets of Sarajevo, changing the pace or even just randomly fully stopping to confuse the snipers, just so you don't get shot. And what's crazy to me is that we are talking about civilians, not people who are shooting back or actively fighting back. Civilians. In January of 1993, the agent was invited to Belgrade with the proposition of other affairs. At this point, his introduction to the dark side of the conflict began. He was flown to Serbia and for the first time met with what we now know as the Sarajevo Safari, a service where wealthy foreigners would pay a certain sum of money, which certainly wasn't small, to fly to Sarajevo and shoot at civilians. According to the agent, the foreigners were both from the west and the east. This already sounded batshit insane to me when watching the doc, but definitely not unbelievable, especially due to recent events. After a couple of days in Serbia, the agent and a group of foreigners were then transported to Sarajevo to go for a hunt. They were met by a representative from the Serbian army. So this wasn't just some guy organizing a dark business. It was arranged with the Serbian army, at least to some level. What the fuck? The agent was taken to a nearby sniper position where he was met, along with the soldiers, with 3 men. Firstly, he assumed they were journalists, but something wasn't right.
Novinari su prestrašeni, ne?
However, the atmosphere was filled with adrenaline. These rich pieces of shit were so hyped up that they just couldn't wait to get in on the action. on shooting civilians. When the agent described this, honestly, my heart sank and fell like 4 floors down into the ground. During his explanation of the process, some questions just kept swirling around my mind. Does human depravity really have no limits? Or is it limited only by what you think you can get away with? And little did I know, it's only going to get much darker. So the service went down like this. The foreigner, after getting to Serbia via plane, would be then transported to Sarajevo. He would then be taken to a sniper position held by the Serbian army, would lay down next to the sniper, who would set the shot up, and then would be passed the trigger so they can shoot the target. Primarily, the snipers were aiming for the chest as the head was harder to hit. After one foreigner would be done, then they would move to another post, the next foreigner would do the deed, and so on. The agent also mentions this in the doc, but I think the same. It's so insane that it wouldn't be enough for them to just watch the person get shot. They needed to be the ones pulling the trigger. Additionally, the agent informed his employer about this after the first encounter. And they responded with, that's interesting. The fuck you mean that's interesting? You know what's interesting? Platypuses glow under the UV light. Now that's interesting. Paying to shoot civilians is barbaric, distressing, and definitely fucking illegal. The agent then goes on to explain what kind of people would pay for this. Surprisingly, people in high positions. However, not politicians, but rather people in the background, lobbyists and so on. People who have so much that they're bored of everything and are looking for something new, something that will make adrenaline pump through their veins, something beyond any healthy morals and legal bindings. The agent also reveals that for extra money you could shoot at a child. And I don't even know what to say to this. What kind of a sick fuck do you have to be to do something so monstrous? And it's really at this point where we get into the most disturbing part of the doc. A second testimony begins, this time narrated by a married couple from Sarajevo. It was a quiet day, one of the rarer days with no shooting. The mother was on a short walk with their daughter, Irina, when they met some friends and started to chat a little bit. The bullet didn't hit any of the adults. Irina was 1 year and 4 days old. She was transported to a hospital and had surgery. The parents weren't allowed to see her, but her dad sneaked in the room and he was there when she ultimately succumbed to the damage. And dude, it was at this point where I paused the doc for the first time. Firstly, to wipe my tears off my face, and secondly, to take a breather. Hearing the parents talk about their daughter being shot is... I'm not even sure there is a word to describe that. It felt as if this pit of hopelessness just kept growing in my stomach. That's the best I can describe it, I guess. And it's not like I didn't kind of expect this story to go this way, especially when it was following the revelation of people paying to shoot at children. But honestly, it didn't matter. The story is just completely heart-shattering. I also had a kind of hard time looking at the father. There's just something in his eyes, something that you can just tell he's been through a lot of something terrible. The mom still dreams about Irina. The agent was present to 7 shots, and he mentions one instance where a child was shot holding their mother's hand. He was also told by the Serbs to not go public with this story, which I doubt surprised anyone, really. The agent also points out that to this day he's unsure why the Serbs even showed him this. They knew that he was working for a big agency, so it didn't really make any sense to him. It's at this point the doc started to drag a little bit for me. Some of the things were repeated multiple times, especially by the agent. for example, like how the service worked, so I will run through the next couple of points a bit quicker. The next testimony is from a man who was shot by a sniper and survived. His section is more focused on the life during the siege, so I will keep his section brief. He certainly offers some interesting points and a bit of a different outlook on the conflict itself, but it doesn't have a massive input on the Sarajevo Safari. I recommend watching this doc, by the way, if it piqued your interest, as there are some things that I left out, obviously, and it certainly wasn't a bad watch documentary-wise, it was a bad watch fucking mental health-wise. The last testimony is from a member of the intelligence administration of Bosnia and Herzegovina. He recounts a story from the Bosnian intelligence perspective, essentially describing the same thing as the first agent, just from like kind of uncovering a mystery perspective. It is also important to say that while this new form of snipers who pay to kill emerged, it wasn't a new huge threat in Sarajevo. Sarajevo was already full of Serbian snipers. It just made it really hard, or basically impossible, to grasp how many people were active in the Sarajevo Safari phenomenon. Nobody could tell who was shooting at them. After the investigation hit a brick wall, it was time to collaborate with other intelligence agencies, especially the one in Italy, which then overtook the investigation. Eventually, the Bosnian chief of intelligence allegedly received a verbal confirmation from the Italian intelligence that they found the starting point of these activities, put a stop to them. Now, I'm not sure how true this really is, as I couldn't find anything like that anywhere, but maybe you or somebody in the audience knows a bit more, so definitely let me know in the comments. However, what is true is that after the premiere of this documentary, an investigation was opened in Bosnia and Herzegovina, Italy, and Belgium. From what I could gather, the Italian one has made the most progress, but all of them are still open and ongoing. But honestly, I'm not sure, even if arrests were made and prison sentences handed, if that's truly justice. Civilians were shot, families destroyed, and the people who caused it spent the best years of their lives free. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments, both on this and whether you like this form of content from me. But a topic like this, one that seems like a horror story turned real, really intrigued me. After all, the scariest stories are the real ones. This will be everything from me for today. I would appreciate any form of support. You know what to do. Thank you all so much for watching, and see you guys. Shout out to my camera that just fucking died.